You're listening to episode number 74, Connecting with Your Most Authentic, Most Aligned Self. Welcome, boss bitches, to the Boss Bitch Rising podcast. My name is Coach Kale, but some people prefer to call me Daddy Kale. I'm a mindset and success coach as well as a business strategist for entrepreneurs. I have over 10 years of experience as an entrepreneur and have helped transform the lives of thousands of people. I hold several certifications including NLP or Neuro-Linguistics Programming, Hypnosis, EFT, Reiki and Energy Healing, among others. My coaching method is simple. Awaken, align, activate, then ascend. Awaken your inner boss bitch through connecting to your most authentic self. Align in understanding with love and purpose. Activate your goddess soul, then ascend into your most confident, powerful, badass self. I know you're going to find so much value here. Now let's rise up. Welcome back, my gorgeous boss bitch fam. I am so grateful to be here today and feeling so energized after my birthday trip to Mexico with the amazing group of friends that I went on that trip with. I spent 9 days in Mexico exploring all the cenotes and the ruins and doing all the water sports. And of course, I was shaking my ass all over the place too. But that was such a magical experience, not only for me, but the entire group. Mexico, especially that part of Mexico, just has this like mystical, enchanted energy about it. The group that I was with was just such an amazing high vibe group of people who I absolutely adore. And it was a celebration of my birth. And so it was just this awesome trip. And I'm feeling so grateful that I was able to go on this trip, and so grateful and blessed that I was able to go on this trip with such an amazing group of people. I know I said that like 8 times, but I really cannot be more thankful for having this opportunity to celebrate the transition from my 20s to my 30s with this amazing group in this amazing place. But after doing the most for 9 days straight, like literally every single day, we were doing something active, and literally all day, jumping from cenote to cenote, or we were driving from, one part of Mexico to the next, whether it be Cancun, or we were in Playa del Carmen, Tulum. We went to Isla Mujeres for a day. It was just a spectacular trip. Definitely the trip of a lifetime. But I spent the 5 days after being back from that trip resting and recovering and really processing all that happened. I wasn't really involved in my meditation practice like I normally am while I was on that trip because of how much we were doing nonstop from the moment we woke up to the moment that we got back to our villa and went to sleep. So I really needed time to integrate everything that I saw, everything that I did, and all of the high vibe souls that I did it with. I wholeheartedly believe that with any spiritual practice, whether it be doing a fast, doing a detox, going on a retreat, taking a trip, or doing a ceremony, any spiritual journey that we take, there has to be an integration period. And because this trip was such a high vibe, high energy spiritual experience, not just for me, but for everyone involved, there was that integration period that needed to take place thereafter. So I did lots of sleeping, lots of meditating. I did lots of like cleaning and rearranging of my house and my space after getting back. I actually set it up this outdoor meditation area so that I can really start to enjoy more meditation time outside. The few times that I meditated in Mexico, it was outside on this beautiful patio area that overlooked the pool. And it was just so perfect, so special. And I wanted to replicate that as best as I can in my personal life while I'm at home so that I can really start to shift my energetic state to be a match and in alignment with everything that I am passionate about and everything that I am calling in my life. Now, I mention all of this in accordance with today's topic because as we are starting to shift into this next level version of who we are, there's going to be things about our life, our space, our thinking, being, acting, reacting, the relationships that we have, the boundaries that we have, all of that also needs to adapt and evolve with the expectations of the desired outcomes that we have. Which means we have to get really good at turning inward and listening. And one of my favorite ways to do that is, of course, through meditation and journaling. And the more regularly we get quiet, the more regularly we turn inward, the more regularly we get connected with that deeper, more authentic version of ourselves, we can start to shift into this state of direct alignment, direct connection with our higher self. Therefore, we can start making more powerful decisions that are in alignment with everything that we are calling in. Now, of course, this is an important topic for all of us at the beginning of the year because we all have these goals. We have a vision for how we want this year to play out. Now, if last year didn't teach us anything, then hopefully it taught us at the very minimum that there's only certain things that we have control over and everything else is really us just responding. So when we are deeply connected with our higher self, we now are not responding through the place or the filter of our triggers and our trauma. Even if we're going through a traumatic circumstance like last year was for probably all of us, we can still sit back, reground ourselves, and listen again into our intuition, be guided by our higher self and our intuition. And when we're able to do that, despite the chaos and the whatever is going on around us, we can sit back down into the place of making the appropriate decision in the now moment that is going to continue to project us forward along the path of where we are now to help us reach our goals. No matter what is going on, we can still make progress, but this does require that connection with your authentic self, your higher self, that guidance and you listening to your intuition. So as we are moving into achieving our goals, connecting with your most authentic and most aligned self is going to be what gets you there faster and more efficiently. So it's time to shine bright. Stop hiding from your light, especially with this new year. It's really time for us to step into our true power. It's a real shame that the world tries to shame people for their truth, tries to make them less different and more normal. But isn't that all relative anyway? Your differences are what make you beautiful, unique, and God's gift to this planet. Your differences are your truth, your value, and your light. And may you shine brightly in 2021, and may 2021 magnify your brightness shining back at you. I recently posted all of this on social media, and I got amazing feedback from people because this message really does resonate. Especially on social media, we try to match what we're constantly fed all day long, which is this perfect life. And, you know, you've heard me say this before. Instagram is just curated. Social media is just a curated feed that we're seeing. We are seeing maybe 0.001% of someone's life, but it is their life's highlight reel. It's intentionally posted. It's possibly edited photos. Maybe the photo doesn't even look like the person that's posting it. That is, definitely a realistic possibility. But with all of that being said, it's time for us to stop feeling like we need to compare ourselves or live up to the life that somebody else is living, which is maybe what looks to be as normal. It's time for us to step into our uniqueness, which is our differences. And your authentic self is your unique, your true self. But you might be wondering, what is the authentic self? You've probably heard me talk about this a lot, but I want to break this down for you. So your authentic self is your truth, your power, and your light. It is your higher self. It is your innermost wisdom, your inner nurturer, your wise self, your feeling self, your inner voice. It is your values and your personalities. It is your little quirks and those things that make you cute and funny and just what everyone loves. Your authentic self is not your thoughts. It is when you're stuck in a web of negative thoughts, your core self is in part of you that notices these thoughts and is able to connect back with your truth. So although we might have these negative thoughts entangled, in our mind and constantly swirling over and over again, day to day, our true self is in there, but it's not those thoughts. And so it's time for us to get reconnected with our true self, to go back to the truth of who we really are, to start thinking, acting, speaking, and living in accordance to what is true and authentic with our higher self. Your higher self is your essence. It is your intuition. And we tend to protect our core self and basically silence or stifle it as a way to protect who we really truly are. This is an avoidance technique, and it is a way for us to take the focus off of ourselves and to put it on someone else, to deflect and to keep communication very superficial. When we connect with our truth, our authentic self, our higher self, that is when we are able to speak from the heart, to speak with confidence, to show up in confidence of who we are and the space that we hold in every facet of our life and our being. So it's time for you to take note. Do you notice yourself avoiding certain emotions, or just emotions in general, especially unwanted or negative emotions? Do you find yourself trying to stay at the surface where you're happy all the time, and that's the only emotion that you're giving into, is this feeling of goodness and joy, but you're suppressing those more unwanted emotions? In reality, this is avoiding vulnerability, and your authentic self is vulnerable. Your authentic self feels deeply and allows each emotion to process and be honored in accordance to what it's feeling. It's allowing each emotion to be emotion and process to be honored in a non-judgmental way. And connecting to our authentic self doesn't have to be this complicated process, but it is an ever-evolving process, because hopefully as we're on this journey of life, we are attacking our goals, we are constantly up-leveling, we are constantly healing, therefore we are constantly evolving. And when we practice deeper connection, intentional deeper connection with our higher self, then this connection is going to evolve, because in each new twist and turn of our life, this requires us to connect even more deeply with our higher self through each part. So step number 1 is reconnect with your inner child. A great way to reconnect with your inner child is through looking at photos, going back and hearing stories of when you were a kid, and connecting to the emotions of that particular time, the location that you were in certain photos or in certain stories, and the energy that is within the feeling of the photo or the story. Think back on how you used to play and explore as a child. What were certain things that you just absolutely loved doing? How did you spend most of your time? What used to excite you? What used to scare you? What made you curious? What made you enjoy to play the most? How did you express yourself through art, through song, dance, play, dress up? How did you express yourself when you were a child? What was your individual identity? What were some of the things that you can remember that you loved the most when you were a kid? Really doing this reflective work on connecting with your inner child is really important when we want to connect with our higher self. When we're doing this inner child connective work, that is allowing us to see like the most innocent version of ourselves that we've ever known ourselves to be. This can also make it really apparent what we are drawn to when we're scared, what we're drawn to when we're feeling joyful and happy, how we play and express ourselves. All of these are cues to our truth and our authenticity. So doing inner child work is very powerful and can facilitate very powerful shifts in getting reconnected with your most authentic, most true self. So step number 2 is write to yourself and write about yourself. You might write about your feelings or answer specific prompts, but these can include I am affirmations like I am courageous, I am brave, I love to accomplish my goals, I am a good friend, I am a good listener. And it can go on from there. It can really encompass all of the things that are positive and empowering that you believe about yourself, but it can also be things that you're calling in. If you would like to have more confidence and you don't feel confident now, start stating, I am confident. And the more frequently that you start to state, I am confident, then start to realize how you can embody the feeling of being confident. Write it down, meditate on these feelings, and therefore you can further embody all of the things that you not only are, but everything that you are calling in as well. Other things that you can write about are words that describe you. So these can be adjectives to describe your physical appearance, but it can also be adjectives that describe your personality. Why do people love you the most? What makes you unique? What makes you beautiful? What makes you you? Write about those things. You can also write about things that you're most afraid of and why, things that you value and why, things that are most important to you and why, strengths that you have and what they are and where they shine the most, weaknesses that you have, what those are and where those show up the most. Really get clear who you are in this moment right now, but also who you would like to be, and start calling in that person. Start connecting with that version of who you are. Explore your emotions. Start assessing your primary emotions, and this can actually really help you get connected even further into who your most authentic self is. We all have an emotional home. This emotional home is basically the place where we hang out the most within our emotions. And it's interesting to see in what situations or scenarios are your emotions showing up the most. Do you feel crummy about yourself around certain people? Do you feel excited and energetic and fun-loving around other people? When you're by yourself, what is your emotional home there? When you're with your family, what is your emotional home there? Really become aware of all of these different facets and inner workings of who you really are, and how who you really are is showing up in all of these different relationships, scenarios, environments, and circumstances that you are in on a regular basis. The more specificity that you have with getting to know yourself and getting to become reconnected with your truth and authentic self, this can help you take aligned action to meet the needs of your higher self. So like the next time that you're feeling anxious or angry, sink below the feeling to identify why you're feeling vulnerable and what made you feel this way. Maybe you're really feeling sad or hurt or scared. And to notice your true feelings, you need to stop and breathe and reconnect. Do a body scan. Really sense the emotions that are living inside your body. So for instance, what is happening in your gut, in your chest, your arms, your back, in your jaw, behind your eyes when you're feeling this way? If thoughts are vying for your attention, try to let them pass by, feeling into each one through breathing. Inhale, exhale, and then come back into your body. A lot of people just want to sit at the surface and only feel the good feelings, but that's not reality. And further suppressing the not so good feelings, all that does is create a disconnect, because we're acting like they're not there, but they're still there. And so in order to allow those feelings to pass, we have to acknowledge and honor them, because the more that we suppress, the more backup, right, we're just going to create. And this creates back pressure, and eventually we're going to either have a mental breakdown, snap on someone that wasn't expecting it, freak out on something that's not that big of a deal in reality. Like there's so many ways that this back pressure can manifest in an explosion, and we don't want that. So when we're getting reconnected with our higher self, Really understanding and connecting with each emotion, positive or negative, as it's coming up. Understanding why it's coming up, where it's coming from. Sometimes negative emotions are triggers from past events that are shining through into this moment, but they're a little bit more inflated because they have connections or ties with something in the past. And that emotion isn't as big as it should be in this moment right now, but it's fed in through all of those past experiences, and therefore that suppressed emotion that haven't dealt with. And when we learn to just get quiet and sink inward and honor the emotions, positive or negative, as they're coming up, understand where they're coming from and allow them to be released and honored as needed, this is a huge part in moving into really understanding and connecting with your higher self. So if you realize that beneath your anger is hurt, and instead of lashing out and yelling at your partner, you can calmly and clearly communicate your feelings. You can say something like, I'm sad, it hurt me when blank, and it makes me feel alone. I care about you and I want you to be able to connect with me. I want to be able to connect with you. I miss connecting. I miss the connection that we've had. This kind of communication can actually help work on the relationship instead of putting the other person on the defense, sparking a fight, and creating this big explosion, right? Although we might be feeling angry and hurt, instead of feeding that emotion with anger and expressing that anger, we can retreat back in and understand, why am I angry right now? What was said or done to me that's created this feeling within my body? How can I honor this feeling? And how can I best communicate? How can I clearly communicate what it is that I'm feeling? And then begin that process. So step number 3 in connecting with your most authentic self is let yourself dream. Explore what you imagine for yourself without fear, without anxiety, without doubt or self-limitations, without negative thoughts dictating your response and where your mind goes when you let yourself dream. If you were to make a complete blueprint of your life right now with no restrictions, no limitations, and you could create this to be a total sensory experience using the 5 senses, what type of home would you live in? Where in the world would this home be located? What scents, sounds, textures, colors, artwork, people, animals, anything else that brings you joy, what would fill your life in your home? Who are the closest people surrounding you? What enjoyable activities do you participate in and how often? What do you do to earn money? Now here you want to create as much playful and fulfilling detail around this experience as you possibly can. Again, create a total sensory experience. This is something that I do for myself when I'm in the process of manifesting. I get super clear on what it is that I'm drawing in. I write that down, and then I visualize and meditate on it. And if I can, I try to create as rich of a sensory experience as I possibly can. What that means is if I can include sights, sounds, smells, tastes, or physical touches or physical experience that I can tangibly touch, then I will create that to the best of my ability to get myself into the energetic space and connection as if I already have it. This creates a limitless reality within my visualization meditation. And the more frequently that I've been implementing this into my own practice, the more rapidly I've actually been able to manifest things that I thought were years out for me. So this is definitely something that I would recommend for you in the process of manifestation. So step number 4 is listen to your inner voice. We actually typically do hear our inner voice, our inner truth. It does speak first for us, but we tend to dismiss it and really not even notice that it's there at all. So the key to listening without rejecting it or talking ourselves out of it or ignoring it completely is to get really connected within your most authentic self and your truth. Therefore, your intuition is heightened and you understand when these intuitive nudges, therefore your higher self, is speaking to you. So this all has to do with the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind actually controls more than 90% of your day-to-day thoughts, actions, behaviors, and patterns. And on average, you think 6,000 to 8,000 thoughts per day. And on average, you think about 60 to 80% of the same thoughts as the day before. And on average, more than 50% of those thoughts are negative, limiting, or self-sabotaging thoughts. So if this all is taken into consideration, that means we are thinking approximately 2,000 to 5,000 negative, limiting, or self-sabotaging thoughts per day. And this is happening on a subconscious level, meaning we're not even realizing that we're doing it. This is happening on a subconscious level, meaning it's governing how we're showing up in our reality, how we're acting, reacting, how we're thinking, how we're speaking, and just the overall patterns of our life. Whether you know it or not, you are constantly listening to your inner voice. And if your inner voice is constantly feeding you negative thought patterns, belief patterns, limiting thought patterns or belief patterns, self-sabotaging thought patterns or belief patterns, then you can see why it might be hard for you to manifest things that you really truly desire. This is also why going back to connecting with your most authentic self and working on your mindset is such a crucial piece in aligning with everything that you're calling in this year. It is either helping you align with and achieve all of your goals, or it's keeping you stuck from achieving all that you desire. So notice when you shut yourself down. It is extremely important to identify when and where you shut yourself down. It does come up more in certain situations around certain people. Maybe you have certain triggers that you are, or maybe you're not aware of. But notice when you deny your inner voice. Which desires, needs, feelings, or anything else are you not allowing, and why? What would happen if you actually gave yourself permission to move forward, even if you're scared, even if you're uncertain, even if it's something you've never done before? What will it look like when you begin to honor your feelings, your wants, your needs, and your desires? Connecting to your core self opens up a whole world of possibilities, and it means you connect to your primary emotions, your dreams, and your needs. It means you have access to what truly fulfills you, which is the first step to pursuing all that you desire in life. This means you have to create a deeper connection within yourself. When you truly know yourself in all facets and dive deep into your deepest depths, then you can truly make powerful decisions that positively reflect the wants, needs, and desires that align with your higher self. So this does include knowing your core values, your human design, your love language, your Enneagram, your past history of trauma, including your triggers, tapping into and understanding the human energy fields and just human energy in general, then creating emotional intelligence as well as emotional freedom. So as you can see, there's so many different facets and ways that you can start to get connected with your higher self. There's things that you really truly need to start knowing about yourself. And that is going to give you insight as to the guidance that your higher self is constantly giving you. When we go through these different modalities and when we dive deeper in discovering who we truly are at our core, when we take responsibility for the things that need to be healed and really understand what our desires are, but how we're getting in our way of actually efficiently reaching the things that we want out of our life, this can create a profound shift. Not just a shift in the outcomes of our life, but also the shift in the energy that we are bringing into our life, into how we are working towards our goals, all of the efforts that we're putting in. Like right now, you might be feeling like you're just tired. You've worked your fucking ass off to achieve things in your life, and possibly you've fallen short. I was once there. I felt like manifestation was just really honestly like a crock of shit, because I worked my ass off to get these things that I truly deeply desired, but I continuously just stood in my own way because there were still parts of myself that needed deep, profound healing. There were still parts of myself that I was so deeply disconnected from and I had no real idea. There were parts of myself that I just didn't even know. Like parts of myself that needed to be expressed, but I wasn't connected with those parts of myself to know that I needed to honor and express those parts. And because of all of these things, I continuously got in my own way when it came to manifestation. Now, I started my healing journey about 4, maybe 5 years ago, but over the last year and a half, I've seen the most profound shifts because, of course, there was a lot of like superficial, surface layer, very obvious things that I needed to heal. Lots of obvious trauma and triggers that were standing in my way. And the deeper I went, the more that I realized these traumas happened because of deeper rooted issues. And I was really just putting roadblock after roadblock in front of myself my entire life. And as I've gone through this healing journey, I've realized that so many other people are living in the same space that I once was, which is why I am so passionate about sharing all of this knowledge and information with you, is because I want to help guide you to creating a better life for yourself. And doing that means that you have to get connected with your higher self. Doing that means you have to know yourself on the deepest level you've ever known possible. It's huge. Like profound shifts are in store for you. You're not listening to this podcast by coincidence. You're here for a reason. You're listening for a reason. You're receiving this message for a reason. You're 30 minutes into this episode. You're still here with me listening for a reason. So I want to encourage you, whatever you have planned for this year, it's time to get really serious. It's time to take a different approach than you've ever taken before. And I am here to support you. Not only have gone through it myself, but I also have the knowledge and the education that helps back me in the psychology of what it takes to actually get you from where you are to where you want to be. So I invite you in this first step, which is my Breakthrough 2021 Virtual Summit. This is available for about another 10 days. And it is my online virtual summit, which features 6 different guest experts, coaches, mentors, and even doctors. All of these people are going to help allow you the information, the knowledge, the understanding, and the experience that you need in order to manifest the most abundant, aligned year that you've ever had. Despite any craziness that goes on in this world, especially this year, I want to equip you with everything you need to make the most aligned and most abundant life that you possibly can. So again, the Breakthrough 2021 Virtual Summit is available for another 10 days. Go to my website, kaleroberts.com, click on the Events tab, and you'll see the Breakthrough 2021 Virtual Summit there. I'm super excited about this event because I hand-picked these guest experts, these keynote speakers, to really help guide you in the mind, body, soul connection that you need in order to make this year your best year ever. Again, go to kaleroberts.com, click on the Events tab, and I will see you in the Breakthrough 2021 virtual event. Thank you so much for joining me in today's episode. I hope you found extreme value in today's content. Of course, if you love today's episode, take a screenshot, share it on social media, and tag me in it, because not only do I love to feel all the love, but I also love to hear your feedback. Of course, if you want to get connected with me further, you can find me on my website at kaleroberts.com or on social media. I'm at The Kale Collective. Until next week, boss bitches, rise up.